All right, so it was a late night topic. We kind of hit it, but everybody was kind of gone last time. But I gotta ask these questions, man. Shout out to the chat, Mr. Britt said Dave tweaking. Oh man, true or false, Bub? A woman is a man's business.
Oh, absolutely true. That's true.
So
True.
Q brought up an example of when this is not true in this world anymore. Where do you remember the little boy who shot the dude in the carry out in Chicago when he punched his mom in the mouth?
Yeah.
Q was just saying there was so many men there that didn't intervene. So we had the conversation last week, but everybody wasn't on.
Hmm.
And so she said that can't be true because nobody jumped in, nobody stopped it, whatever the case was. Um, if you seen a lady on the side of the road, do you still pull over to help if she changing the tire nowadays?
Absolutely. I look for that shit all the time. As I was taking my trip this afternoon, and I seen multiple cars on the side of the road on the road. I was definitely checking to see if it was, male or female. Because if it was female, I was definitely gonna pull over. Because like 99.9% of females do not know how to change a tire. You know what I'm saying? And that's
Yeah.
word. That's a fact.
Now, if you see a woman getting into it with her man and he make her touch a couple walls or he slap the shit out of her, whatever the case is, you intervening in that?
Well, um, nowadays, nah. I tried that in like maybe 90,
Damn.
maybe 2000. And right, I saw this dude pick his lady up. I know it was his lady at the time, and he slammed on her head. So I had to break skirt. I'm like, yo, what's going on? Y'all good? And Shorty popped up like, yeah, we good. Mind your own business. Keep it pushing. And he kept whooping her ass.
Oh my
So
goodness.
so ever since then, I'm like, all right, well, I ain't gonna do that no more. Cause word, like for her to come at me like that, like word. All right, keep
Yeah.
getting your ass whooped then.
So Q,
Jeez.
Bub, and Bub is not. Would you agree? Bub ain't in his soft girl era, right?
Right?
But he's saying, yo, them situations is sticky now. Pause.
Hmm.
What you think about that?
I agree with him because that's his personal experience.
Mm,
So he has a reason to feel that way. But if you heard what he said before, he tried it. So that's what I was speaking to. Like that's to me, that's man shit.
question. Okay. Do you think you can learn by somebody else putting their hand on the stove and burning themselves?
No,
You think you got to go see if it's hot too?
I think that's how most of us learn. How many times have we been teenagers and kids and somebody like, you don't want to make them mistakes and then y'all still went out there and rock dog bitches in college.
Yeah, shit, I hate condoms, but
So
what I'm saying is like boom, like
Wow.
the dude, it was like a year or so ago. Remember, his wife was arguing with the nigga over the parking spot. He came outside wanting smoke, and the nigga killed him.
mhm.
I feel like I could learn from that. Like I could see that and be like, oh, I could probably got popped too. Especially knowing like if my wife is going back and forth with somebody, how I'm coming out the store hot like that. Like damn, like you know what I mean?
So is that learning from it or is that fear based?
It's learning what can happen. What is it? What is a probability, especially depending on where you at. Like for instance, road rage in Texas is crazy because everybody's strapped.
Hmm.
So if I'm cognizant of that and I'm coming out of Target and my wife like, oh, watch when my husband come, yada yada yada, that situation might pop in my head hypothetically.
It ain't gonna change that though.
No, I ain't gonna change nothing. But I'm just saying, like, is that fair? Like, you know what I mean?
That's some personal shit. I mean, I just was saying what I was saying based on how this dude was coming across last week because he was giving me that kind of energy. Like if he sees some shit pop off with a female in public, he the type to run into an alley. Like like a high type nigga. You know what I mean? And I'm like, it's people like that that's like hiding behind cameras while women is getting beat up. You know what I mean? And stuff is happening. That's what I was trying to say.
Okay.
That shit. We talked about weak men earlier. That shit irritates my soul. If you see something foul going on, especially if a woman is being hurt or something like that, and your stupid ass just bust out a camera, bro, them type of men deserve a Timberland to the face.
So if a man on it with his woman, he slapped the shit out of his chef, you intervening in that type of shit?
I would immediately like split image. I would take the bub route. I'm gonna look like, oh, what's going on over here? And if she decides like, oh, we good, and he continues to stop her out, like we know the results usually, the guy that tries to be the hero gets stomped out or ultimately gets killed, right? But this is not every situation. You know what I mean? I've been in education 12 plus years, right? I've had to break up fights. Those fights are not always girl on girl. Those fights are not always guy on guy. Sometimes I've caught male students jacking up a chick, and I had to fold that little boy real quick. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's one of those situations where, am I going to stand there like half the other male teachers and just look like, oh my God, stop doing that? It's like, nah, the Bronx is going to kick in. I'm slamming everybody until y'all all get off of this little girl.
But you think that's a more of a controlled environment though?
It can be, absolutely, but it's also, it is not expected.
Yeah.
And more legal ramifications exist for you not to touch students. But then it's like, if you are a man seeing a woman, particularly a younger child, middle school, high school, don't matter, getting stomped the hell out, and then you realize that the men are just standing there not doing nothing, I'll take the L if somebody decides to hit me, but based on my frame, that's not going to happen. And then all these other kids are going to go flying. And I've done that before, multiple occasions.
Isha, can you read the super chat for me?
I'm top 5%. I'm married with 4 kids, working on more.
Isha, this is a 20 ball, man.
After 11.
Come on.
I'm top 5%. I'm married with 4 kids, working on more. My wife
shit like that. Shit like that.
We
Shit
are
like that.
equal now. Let them have what they wanted. She not under my covering. They don't need help. These ladies want you dead or locked up for them.
Savage with a 20 ball. What'd you say about that, Mary? This super chat right here, because this is pertaining to what we're talking about. Go ahead, because he's saying it's so risky. Like
it is risky. Like, for instance, like my husband was always the person that got called from his cousins because he only child, but his cousins always call him like, oh, this nigga, this and this, and then next week he go over there, show up, beat the nigga ass, or talk to the nigga, figure out what's going on, and then the bitch back with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, why? Like, I had to tell him, like, yo, stop saving these motherfuckers because I can't lose you. You know what I'm saying? What you got back at home is more important than the shit people got going on in these streets. So you leave that shit alone.
Yeah. So cute. From a wife, she said her man, he gotta take care of home first. And I think that's what a lot was being said last week.
Yeah, I ended up getting that from the white nigga after he spoke. And
so we're not calling him a white nigga? I'm sorry, Q. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, yeah, he was okay with it. He knew
I don't care if he's okay with it. I'm on here just now. I apologize. My Dr. Umar just went off. I apologize.
Yeah. I fuck with it. So yeah, this what I gathered that from him after he summed it up and was like, yeah, I only be concerned with the women in my household. And I was like, oh, okay, so that's how all men feel. And he kind of was like, yeah, that's how it should be. Men are not obligated to take care of another woman within the community. They're only obligated to the women that are attached to them. So it was like, okay, I still think that there's a part of you that should have an innate quality as a human being, seeing another human being in a fucked up situation. But that's just my opinion. So to the $5 super chat from Mike Brown, where he says most women don't respect the men they would want that protection from. it's not so much about wanting the protection as much as it is like where do you stand morally? And I think that's kind of what I'm trying to speak to. But to each his own. I still stand on that shit too. If you just feel like you would see a woman out there getting fucked up and not do anything, then you live with that. That's on you.
I agree with that to an extent. Like morally, it's just like you want to be that person to help, but it's like I always look at things at a standpoint. It's 2023, and it's like a lot of these women aren't doing things to protect themselves either. So it's like, why should like one of the questions Hamp asked before, like in regards to like basically do women cause more like hurt and harm to men or whatever the case may be? I forgot how he worded it. But basically, are we the issue as women when it comes to men? And it's just like these women are just not putting themselves in a position to protect themselves. Like I said, like you go back to the same dude and get your ass beat every time. Like this could be a cycle. And as an outsider, you don't necessarily know. And then somebody pull out a gun and shoot your ass because you're not minding your business. Like this 2023, this a whole different era.
Well, I think it's another example of us having two different conversations, right? Because what you're saying makes absolute sense. I think what I'm talking about is having the discernment to know when those situations apply. Because what I think is going on is people are extremely desensitized, right? So it's like we're just at the point where you should have enough discernment to be like, that's not what's going on. This was an innocent woman walking down the street trying to get to wherever, or she got caught up in some shit, and niggas will sit back and just watch that shit to that point.
How do you know?
My responsibility.
Like to that point, how do you know?
Like you said, discernment.
Discernment.
It would be hard though, Mary, to your point, like to try to figure out what a situation looks like. But
discernment, it's like at that point it's out of your control, right? Like you discern within your day to day. It's just you probably don't call it that, but it's just in you. You're gonna know when a situation calls for something. I feel like people become so desensitized they almost ignore it and then just keep it pushing. Because to the Eddie, to the white nigga's point, that's not a woman in my household.
Yeah. So the question is though, because I'm just trying to see where we at, right? Is a woman a man's business? What makes the women of nowadays so much different than a man nowadays? Like, would you jumping out there for a nigga that was getting jumped and all that? Like, I don't feel like we had the same. Everybody mute. Have the same care.
But I think that should be. I mean, like, if you see women jumping in, like that whole what was it, Montgomery shit,
mm-hmm.
and you see women jumping in that as a woman, like if you know that shit going too far, you right there, like yeah, you should want to as a human being do something about that. If I think, I mean, I don't know what type of fight videos and shit y'all be seeing online, but I be seeing the women going a little bit more than the guys with some of this stuff. You know, like they be ready. Y'all call them ghetto, ratchet, whatever, but they be ready. Ashy ankles coming out the Nissan Altima and all. So,
I personally wouldn't have the same care if it was a man getting done filthy. Because you never know what he getting done filthy for. You know what I'm saying? He could have raped somebody's mother, sister, daughter, pedophile. Like, I don't know. But if it's somebody I know, like, you know, that I'm close to, that's a different situation. Of course, I'm gonna hop in that, and I'm doing everybody filthy. But if it's somebody I don't know, like, I'll be hesitant on that. You know what I'm saying? Word.
But that's what I'm saying, Bo. That goes back to discernment. So when the little nigga swam across the water, that was discernment. He know, oh, that's some shit I need to be a part of.
Yeah, homie, the real MVP. Homie, a G. I respect him for that. Word. But
Savage Dragon with the follow out super chat real quick. Ladies are equal to men. I wouldn't die for a random man. Hey, Bob, mute real quick. John the Baptist, can y'all see this?
No.
John the Baptist with the $5 super chat. You can't save everybody. John with the 5 more. John, what's popping? even God allowed people to suffer from their choices. It's true.
All shit that's understood. Yeah, y'all preaching to the choir, but that's all understood.